Hi guys, so baking is one of those things that I've been learning in the past few months. I'm not particularly good at it, but I have been making whatever I've been baking, we've just been having it for breakfast the next day. These are a few things I have made so far, and I've always wanted to learn how to make cinnamon rolls or jam rolls. And because I have a shop making jam, I decided to start with jam rolls. So the recipe you're going to use for the rolls themselves is a recipe for the buns we usually have for breakfast. It's the same exact recipe, except now I'm going to add jam in the middle as well as some cinnamon to make jam rolls. So these are my ingredients: 3 cups of flour, 1 cup of milk, a few tablespoons of cream, 2 eggs, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and a half tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of vanilla essence, half a teaspoon of cinnamon powder, a few tablespoons of jam, as well as yeast and bread improver in a tablespoon each of those. I'm going to share the recipe for the buns because the bun recipe actually works. It's a fantastic recipe. I'm going to share it in a downloadable PDF below, so check that out. It will have the ingredients as well as the method to go about it. So I started with mixing the liquid ingredients first. I learned in baking, even in making like pancakes, the best way to go about it is mixing the liquids first together and then the solids together, and then you mix everything together to form a batter or a dough. So we are starting with the milk and vanilla, and then we're going to add in the eggs and beat them. I think beating eggs is one of my least favorite things to do when baking or even making pancakes because of how long it takes. I really don't enjoy it, but we're going to go ahead and do that because they are fantastic for adding hydration and moisture to the final dish or the final pastry, whatever it is you're making. So we're going to add 2 of those here and then beat them until they're completely incorporated, because we don't want our rolls to smell like eggs, because that's the worst thing ever. So I decided to break the rules a little and to mix everything into the milk. So I added in the sugar, salt, bread improver, yeast, and cinnamon powder to the milk, made a homogeneous mixture, and then the only thing we're going to do next is add it to the flour. So we've already mixed all the ingredients. Next is our flour. I always forget why we sift flour, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. The one tip I will give you is to use the same kind of measurement for the liquids as well as the solids. So I use the same cup to measure the flour as well as to measure the milk, so that my measurements are, in tandem with each other or the same. You can't measure using different cups. The best way to do it will actually be using the measuring cups, but because I don't have that, I just used the same cup so that I have the same measurements for everything. So you just mix everything up, and then when it mixes together kabisa, you knead it with your hands until it stops sticking to the bowl. I realized that I did not film the bit where I started kneading because I was also filming an Instagram reel. But once you do that, you knead it until the point where it comes together on its own, and then you cover it with a cloth so that you give it some time to rise and to rest, upon which we're going to go ahead and bake it. Okay, so now we are greasing the pan. I used margarine. You can always use like vegetable oil to grease your pan, and then after that I sprinkled some flour on top. What is the purpose of that? I think the purpose of that is to make sure that whatever it is you're baking on the baking pan does not stick to it. At least that's what I think. So that's what I did. And then we went ahead and divided the dough into two because now it's doubled in size. This was about an hour later. And then divided it into two, and then we're going to roll it out so that we add in the jam as well as the cinnamon. And then I rolled out the dough. So you're gonna roll it out. You don't want it to be too thin, but the point is that now when you've rolled it out, you add in the jam so that the jam has the rolls have jam in the middle. I used 3 tomato balsamic jam because I had that in stock, and it's something I use in my shop. I really wanted to use it because also it's red. It's delicious, but also because it's red, I wanted to see the jam. So I added some. So before I made this, I actually read a recipe where they were saying you shouldn't add too much jam. I don't think I read what too much jam is, because at this, what I added here is definitely too much, because you'll see in a minute that it actually runs out of the rolls once I make the rolls. So this is the general idea, but just use way less jam. I added like 6 tablespoons here. So I covered the dough in jam and then added in some cinnamon. I also read that you should leave the ends, you shouldn't cover the ends with jam so that the rolls are able to close. Yeah. At this point, I was panicking because the dough was sticking to the board, and I was wondering, what am I going to do now? I actually added some more flour to the board so that the roll didn't stick too much and refuse to come off. And then I went ahead and cut it into rolls. So the weird part about this is the end parts of the roll, because they're a bit weird shaped. So those ones I just left them. This was were to be used for tasting. Beloved, this is where I realized that I had messed up and put too much jam, because you see it was running, ilikuwa inamwagika at the bottom. So when I did the second batch, I actually added way less jam so that it didn't run, because what happens when you expose jam to really high heat, especially like right now it's baking, it will caramelize and itaisha, and basically the part that has touched the bottom of the pan will burn. So the second bit I did very little jam, just enough to cover the dough, but not too much that it will run off. So once I did that, I covered the rolls in a tablecloth and waited for them to double in size. This is the buns after doubling in size. They raised quite a bit, so we went ahead and put them into an oven. I'm using an outdoor oven which uses makaa, and the one thing about this is that the one problem about using this oven is that it does not have, you cannot measure the temperature. So for the most part you are bahatishaing. So it's a bit of a detriment in that way, but it actually works well, just like a normal oven. It's just that you can't tell what temperature your buns are cooking at. This is how the buns turned out after baking. They are delicious, but they kind of disappointed me. especially because they are not as browned as I wanted them to be. I guess it's because I used margarine instead of egg wash. The next time I will cover them in egg wash before baking. And also they kind of overcooked, so the jam melted off. So we'll cook them for shorter next time. That's the kind of the detriment of using an outdoor oven, but we have something for breakfast. So yeah, thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.